Welcome to the School of Laughs podcast, brought to you by schooloflaughs.com. Whether you're an aspiring comedian, a part-time pro, or a speaker who wants to become funnier, this is the podcast for you. We'll break down tools, tips, and techniques to help you get bigger, better, and more bookable. And now, here's the show.
Welcome to the podcast. Rick Roberts here. Thanks to our Patreon supporter for this episode, Mr. Bo Schuster. Bo, I hope you're doing well. I know you're a social guy and you'd like to be out there doing some time on the microphone, and those times will be back at some point. But until then, give me a holler if you're getting kind of bored and lonely and want to go over jokes, man. Give me a shout. Thanks for supporting the podcast and being part of Club 52. Club 52 is a bonus perk you get if you contribute at the $7 a month or more level. If you listen to this and you don't know what I'm talking about, you can sponsor the podcast and I give you some cool things in return. And Bo has done that faithfully for quite a long time. So thanks, Bo, for being one of our longest supporters on the show. You can find out more about that, schooloflaughs.com/PATREON. All right, today I've got Moody Molavi. It's Moody Molavi. If you want to pull it up, check him out. Check out his website. He's got a nice website and got some links up there that you want to check out in the top right corner to his socials. And he's got some video on there. You can check out some clips from his DryBar special. But if you don't know Moody, you will, because we're going to go and talk to him right now. And this was recorded pre-coronavirus a while back. So we're sitting in the same room and we're okay with that. Here we go. Well, I am here with Moody. Moody, we just established that I met 9 years ago.
That's right. At
the Comedy Catch in Chattanooga. Had you been doing a little bit of comedy at that point, or no comedy, or what was the vibe for you?
I was basically dared to do a comedy contest in 2009, and I... just like in business, I'll go and I'll research before I go do. And so like all summer long, I'd gone and watched the Southeastern Funny Person Search, and I'd watch them, how they would, judge them, and I'd take notes. And then they had an opening and said, hey, somebody backed out. Cause it's like the 6 month long.
Oh yeah. They'll drag that out as long as humanly possible.
It's like every Wednesday night. It's like how they just get money on Wednesday nights, I guess. But,
right.
But there was a fellow named Wade Cardwell, and I said, hey, and he was the host for every show. And he said, I told him I want to get in. He goes, well, it's all full up. But then he calls me up one night. And he goes, hey, one guy bowed out, so we're going to have 21 contestants come on out, and for that one spot. And so I'd never done it before. I'd wanted to since I was a kid, and I got first. So I pulled the curtain because they're like, who wants to go first? I'll go, and I just talked about my dad. I talked about me and my dad, and, I would do his voice because everybody doesn't expect this to come out of me because I'm just this really big country boy born in Iran, and people don't expect it. So it was funny.
Was it South Iran?
No, it was North Iran. It's Iran. Why do I say Iran? So anyway, and I remember Quincy Kaler was one of the judges for that Giggles Grill contest to get into this thing. And she said, have you ever done stand-up before? I was like, no, this is my first time. She's like, that's just crazy. And I remember my wife was there, and it was like 3 hours long because 21 people doing this stuff, And then at the end, they're like, hey, so here's your winner, Moody Molavi. And I contained my, emotions until we got at the truck, and I looked over at my wife, Kelly, and I'm like, oh my God, can you believe that just happened? That was crazy. And it was neat. It was neat. And she's been supportive ever since. So Michael, actually, I go into the contest, and I ended up doing third. And that was November of 2009. And then Michael Alfano said, to come out. And then I just started hosting, and I hosted every show from then until May of 2010. That's where I met you in that stretch. And then I crashed my motorcycle, and I stopped doing comedy. So I didn't get back into it until, it was May 2010. I didn't get back into it until 2012, 13, somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. And it was hard to get Michael's trust that I would actually show up. So he wouldn't use me for a good 18 months to 2 years. And then I was always there. So it was like, just go up.
Gotcha.
And, what went from, 5 minutes, then to 7, then to 10, and then to 15. And sometimes people wouldn't show up, and you just stay up there till I call you off, which is the hardest thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, well, I just did my closer. What else do I do?
Right, yeah. You got to know when to rap so you can rap.
Yeah. And I learned the term killed, and it's overused. In the comedy world.
It's greatly overused.
But if you go back, because I would record all my sets on my phone. And I did. I killed the audience. I didn't kill,
Right.
like in content. Right. It's like I remember hearing one person, because I put it on the stool. I remember hearing one person like, I feel so bad for him.
Oh.
And I thought, I'm like, yeah, I did it because my adrenaline's going.
Right.
But it did horrible.
Oh, I know. That's probably the most overused term. I don't know that I've ever killed. I've been doing it for 29 years. There's been shows that have been really strong, and there's been sets that have been really tight. But as far as saying, I left them in a state where they could not believe what just happened, and they couldn't accept another comic after me. No, I don't know if I've ever done that. But there's every comic that I've worked with has killed at some point. I know I've probably felt like it when I was really beginner. Really what I was thinking is I finished the set without getting heckled. I must have killed.
You must have killed. That's right. That's right.
So 2010, then a little break to 2013-ish or so, you kind of get back into it. And I always like to ask this too of guys that are married and have kids. You said your wife was supportive. How do you juggle, hey, I've got to leave the house, go out and do some stuff at night, leave you guys back with your home time?
Well, when Kelly and I first got together 22 years ago, I played pool 7 nights a week.
So this was an improvement that you've just gone a few times.
Improvement, yes. And so when we got married, she's like, you got to back off in the pool 7 nights a week, So I did, and eventually it got down to 1 night a week. And when I got into comedy, I traded that. And so instead of going out to play pool, I'd go out and do a show. And then, of course, doing the comedy catch, when you're there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're there from 5 o'clock in the afternoon to 2 in the morning sometimes.
Yeah.
And that went on for a long, long time.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
That's the key. And, quite a few good comics come through the comedy catch. Anybody stick out to you as far as somebody kind of took a few minutes to hang with you and give you any kind of tips or feedback on your set?
Bees, definitely.
Killer Baez.
Killer Baez. He was the first one to give me a shot on the road with him. He was doing a 2-man show in Knoxville in 2015. And he's definitely been a good friend. Dan Whitehurst.
No, Dan's great.
He was going to be the first person to take me on a gig. It was with Bonkers. He's like, hey, man, you want to go with me? And it's like, yeah, sure. I was getting all pumped up. And it was some new comedy thing that they had signed on with some Blue Ridge Cafe. And then basically the week of, they decided, nah, we're not going to do this anymore. And so I didn't get to do it with Dan first. And so I did it with Bees first. But gosh, there's plenty of people that I've met through there. But those two are the main standouts for me.
What about any advice you got or insight you got that caught you by surprise or that you was helpful but maybe at the moment didn't feel right, but then you absorbed it and you're like, yeah, they probably are right about that? Any of those moments?
Lots of those moments, primarily from Michael Alfano.
Yeah.
I remember I did this joke where when I was the class clown and I always basically would get expelled every year and have to come back, but I would do all sorts of weird things and I like to do voices. And so I went up there and I did this Gomer Pyle meets the terrorist thing. and I get off of there. Oh no, I met Elmo. That's right. It was Gomer Pyle, terrorist, and Elmo. And I get off stage and I thought I did really well. And he comes up and he says a few words, which I won't repeat. But basically it was, what were you thinking?
Uh-huh.
And of course, at first you get that pride in the way. You're like, who are you to tell me? I mean, how many comics are like, no one tells me about my art? I mean, seriously, I just did Gomer, I did a terrorist, and there's no art to it.
Right, yeah.
I'm just playing around up there. So I was like, okay. I didn't want to make, the little dude mad because he's way tinier than I am.
Yeah.
But he gets, it was great advice. Another one was record all your sets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so painful to go back and listen to these sets. And it takes so much time because you don't just listen to them. you grade them.
Right.
And I approach everything like in business. I approach everything with math, So I give different values for things like do they kind of chuckle, or did they actually laugh, or did they have a big belly laugh? Did you get an applause break? And so I was taught by a guy named Michael Gardner to do that, to gauge what you actually did. And he also taught me something, the trigger word. And like, go back and look at your jokes. What do they laugh at, right? And so that is your trigger word. There's one joke that I do talking about my wife breaking her phone, and I said, originally, it's hard to remember what I originally said, but it basically was like, I found out that she'd spent $300 replacing her phone, and my wife is deaf, which I think it's hysterical. It's like you don't even use the phone,
right.
You just use it as a game thing and texting. And she said, well, I thought you'd be proud of me. I took care of it. I didn't have to call you because I'm the tech guy, right? That's what I do and during the day. And I said, no, I got 300 reasons why I'm not proud of you.
Right.
This is horrible. Why would you buy another one? And like, which kid broke it? It had to be a kid. She goes, well, if you want to know, I was reaching to save, our kid from running in the parking lot, and I dropped the phone and it shattered. Are you happy now? And I said, no, the price. And I remember having this call. It's a true story. And I remember I said, oh, this is funny. I got to say it. Otherwise I'll forget it. And I said, for $30, we could have just paid a copay.
Right.
And I forget how I said originally, but I said the copay for an injured child is $30. Well, the funny word was copay.
Right.
And I didn't realize that. I told that joke over and over and over again, and they were laughing at copay, but then they would stop laughing because, he's still talking.
Right.
What else has he got to say? Which was nowhere near as funny, so he just died. Mm-hmm. So when I went back and I changed it to, the price of an injured child's a $30 copay, I stop, and it's boom. It's a much different joke. And that was taught to me by Mike Gardner.
Yeah, knowing what triggers a laugh gives you also a chance to pause. Mm-hmm. So putting it at the end of the sentence gives you a natural place to pause, which gives them a natural invitation to laugh. So sometimes you're too close to your own jokes to even know what's going on, but also not knowing how to pick out those things. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's super helpful. And something that I learned probably 10 years in, I would get the laugh, and it might be 5 or 6 more words that I was trying to wrap the sentence up with, but there'd be a couple of nights where I would have to take a breath when I said the trigger word, and I'm like, oh, that's what I should have been doing the whole time. Yeah. And watching a lot of interviews with Rodney Dangerfield, he would take one word out of every successful joke until it stopped working, and then put that last word back in. So that made me even think about the economy of words in a bigger way, like what am I saying that doesn't need to be there, mm-hmm. And really editing it out. So that's cool, man. So you got some good advice early on, and been in Nashville less than a year, roughly a year?
Oh, no, I just got here in June.
In June. Yeah. So, in Murfreesboro, right?
Yep.
How's that going?
Love it. It's so awesome.
And was it, did that work with your job, or did your job lead you here, or how did it all come together?
It's a huge God thing. And my wife has been volunteering for a nonprofit for over 14 years, and I like looking at something and then going back and seeing what all took us there, and it's just nothing but huge God movements every single time. How she got into volunteering for this, how she got excited about this, and she lost her job on February 8th, and this company, the nonprofit, had been courting her for at least a year or so. She's like, no, it's just not something we could do. We just can't move to Nashville, and this went on and on. And then we get the bad news. I remember it was noon that day, and I was doing a show at a church in Ringgold, Georgia. And when we do those shows, my family comes with me because they do all the sales and stuff, mm-hmm. so I can stand and talk to people. And so we're going to go to that. She tells me she just got laid off, and she's supposed to work through March. And her last day is, March 30th. And then when she gets home, I knew she was going to be upset. And she goes, I got an offer letter that makes sense. And I was like, well, I guess we're saying yes to that.
Yeah.
And so I talked to my boss where I work, and we had several chats about how I can do my work remotely. They actually have an office up here, which is 4 blocks away from where my wife's office is.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah, of all the places in Nashville, it's right there.
Gotcha. You did DryBar back when, was that in February, March?
It was it was really cool. It was March 31st.
Okay, so
basically we're like, okay, so your last day is going to be March 30th, and we're flying out to Utah, and so Kelly and I went out there, and it was like basically this big celebration of changing our life.
That's pretty cool, man. So I'll keep an eye on that. Well, cool, man. What else are you looking forward to doing with your comedy now? I mean, there's a million different things you can do. You've got a day job. It's, pretty solid. So you probably have X amount of weekends or dates or days or vacation days that you can utilize. What do you want to do with those? And what other opportunities are you looking for a little more local?
Well, actually, nowhere near local. I want to do military shows. I never served in the military. I couldn't. I had a metal rod stuck in my leg where I was a 15-year-old idiot and crashed a car into a ditch.
Oh, man. You've crashed a car and a motorcycle?
Man, I had 19 wrecks before I was 19.
What?
Yeah, I was really, really.
Call me when you get home tonight. I just want to make sure
I've
you
been
did.
great for a long, long time, but I learned a lot, man.
19 wrecks.
I was 19.
Did you grow up around the Chattanooga area, or did you move around quite a bit?
No, I grew up in Chattanooga.
Well, there's a lot of hills over there.
There are so many hills.
There's a lot of hills. The old runaway ramps I love how the runaway ramps for the trucks are on the left side, and they say all trucks stay in the right lane.
Yeah.
So if they got to run away, they're going to cross three lanes to get to that ramp.
The last time I was in Chattanooga last week, I came across that hill, and there was a cop backed up into the runway lane or the ramp, and I thought, that's really dumb.
Yeah.
Because if there's a truck coming, he's out of control.
Yeah, and now
he's coming right for you.
Yeah.
So I thought it was kind of weird. But
I don't know if you know Danny Storch or not, but he was a Chicago comic, lives in Nashville. I don't know if he does much comedy anymore, but he had a great line about, we live in a nice little place. It's a rural area at the end of a runaway truck ramp. It's really hard to have nice things. Every day picking up precious Hummel figurines off the ground. But it's just like one of my favorite jokes he ever had. So military bases and stuff like that. Have you got any contacts with people that book those kinds of things? We can put the word out if you don't. Maybe people can connect with you.
I met Jeff Capri because I got to DryBar the night before to support Lee Harden, and he was recording Jeff Capri. So the next morning we all hung out the day of my recording, and it was neat. And then I didn't realize that's what he did until I started seeing all these posts of him out there with Julie Scoggins, who's another friend of mine. By the way, she's taught me about merch. My goodness, that lady is the queen of merchandise. We'll
circle back to that in a second, get a couple of tips.
Yeah.
So you met Jeff and you're like, okay, this military base thing is a thing. And they
actually, I've always wanted to do the military base thing. Actually, I didn't know that Jeff Capri was part of it until he came back from his trip and he posted something. And I only caught it because Julie posted something. I saw his name. I was like, wow, what a small little world. And so maybe, is that why I went to DryBar, was to make that contact? I don't know. But it's something I've always wanted to do because I never served. My son actually just enlisted.
Oh, really?
August 27th. And he's in the Tennessee Army National Guard. And while he's a senior at high school, it's a really cool thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like they might help with college, perhaps?
Oh, yeah. It's I could do an entire podcast on that whole scenario. But again, that was a God thing for us because we met the recruiter when we came up here. And we learned so many different things, what would be good, what wouldn't be good. And I think my favorite thing was that he got to do what he wanted to do. He got the job that he wanted to get, thanks to the recruiter getting it set up for him. But he'll be working on Black Hawk helicopters. So once he gets through all of that training, he can go to MTSU, he can go to Austin P, and in the Tennessee National Guard, they actually defer payments for those schools instead of, hey, if you make A's, then we'll pay. I mean, you still got to make the A, but it's deferred and it's discounted and they pay, so you never have to touch anything.
Wow. One of my best friends from high school, Dwayne, went into the military and he grew up a mechanic, and that's what he did. Worked on helicopters, and occasionally we'll fly him. He's in Eastern Kentucky, and they'll do like the drug raids where he'll put the helicopter right on top of the guy's house, and so like they're paranoid to come out. They stay in, and if they go out, he's got them surrounded. They can't make phone calls to, hey, because it's so loud.
Right.
But it's pretty cool, man. Well, let's jump on the merch thing real quick. Julie Scoggins taught you some things about merch. We can all learn about merch. I don't merch as much as I used to. I'm primarily in corporate areas, and I give away my CD as like a way of getting my name out.
Right.
But what is the scene like? What works? What seems to work for Julie or you, or what tips have you picked up?
Well, Julie, she's got different things. I mean, like she's got at least, I don't know, 4 or 5 different things that she's selling. Like her merch pitch at the end of the show is basically like a 10-minute bit, and it's great. But she finds useful things that people would want to have, and she'll put her logo on them. I think one like a slap bracelet or a slap thing on the back of a phone for a stand, and a place for your credit cards to go in with your phone, and just she's looking at things that are useful, and she's just putting her logo on them. She taught me that you have to just keep on doing your marketing, before the show, like greet people and say, hey, this is my contact information. I want you to fill this out so I know more about you. I'll put you on my list so I know when to email you when I'm going to be back in town. Just very proactive in that measure, which, a lot of comics are like, I just want to go be funny, but it's a business.
Today, now more than ever, I hate that phrase, but maybe it's never been more than now. Maybe it's always been the same, but the ball's in your court 100% now as a performer, whereas back in the day, you relied on the club to do a lot of things for you. Now, if you do it correctly, you don't even need the club. You've got the social media following, the email list,
right.
If you've got the reach. So is there anything you do specifically at shows to make sure people sign up for an email list? Or
I'm horrible at that.
I would make an effort to do something where you collect that email address after.
I'm going to listen to this podcast later. That's where I write down my notes like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, well, it's definitely worth your while. Well, cool, man. It seems like everything's going the right direction. I'm excited about your move here. It seems like that's opened up a few doors. And, I moved here almost 20 years ago because of the location. Chattanooga's not that far away, but you're a little more central and a lot closer to a lot more places now. You're 8 hours away from half the population of the U.S. almost.
Yep.
So pretty... maybe 16 if you count New York or something. But anyway, you're in a good spot, so.
Or 12 hours away if you fly Southwest anywhere.
Right. And with all 4 stops. That's true, man. You're, Southwest. That's who I fly primarily.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's out of here. So,
but it's, it can be a couple of hops and skips.
A little bit. Yeah.
Cool. And if people want to find out more about you, I know you do Instagram a little bit more than I do. I've seen some pictures on there. Where do you like to send people?
Facebook is, I had to do at the Mood Man, like the @ sign, the Mood Man, because that was always available. And then Moody Molavi, not that anybody can pronounce or spell that name, but it's Molavi. And that's Moody Molavi's at Twitter. Moody Molavi is, Instagram, and my personal Facebook is that as well, but it will push you to the other one.
Okay, cool, man. Well, y'all check out those links, shoot him a message, let him know you heard him on the show. And if anybody out there is booking shows for the military, for sure, let them know that too. Maybe get them on that a little bit quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be great.
Cool, man. Thanks for doing it, Moody. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed that interview with Moody Molavi. Again, you can go to moodymolavi.com, MOLAVI.com, and follow him on the socials. Check out his videos. And all around good guy. I hope you enjoyed that and you got something out of the episode today. Hey, I've got a Master Laughter class going on right now. It's masterlaughterclass.com. That class is designed specifically for speakers and content creators who want to get more humor into their message. It's not about turning you into a comedian. It's about using the tools and the techniques that comedians use to get more bang for your buck and more impact when you speak by keeping the audience's attention with surprises and humor, just like a stand-up comic does. So you want to check that out, masterlaughterclass.com. And also the regular stand-up writing class for those of you who do want to become a stand-up comedian. Different criteria, different curriculum. That is at schooloflaughs.com. Just go ahead and click the class link on that site, and you'll find out about the online class. And as soon as I feel good about it, we'll have a live class here in Nashville sometime this summer, but still trying to pick the dates and times for that. Thanks again for listening. If you haven't subscribed to us on iTunes, maybe you're listening on there, but you haven't subscribed, or Stitcher or Spotify, please do so. In fact, Spotify, you can get all of the episodes. You can go way back to the first one and listen all the way through if you're just now finding out about the podcast. Can't do that on iTunes as easily, and even harder to do on other platforms. So Spotify is my platform of choice if you want to just kind of get in there, dig in, and have it ready to go wherever you're at. I recommend that one. I'd like to read a quick iTunes review here before we hang up today. This one is a 5-star review from Smogley up in Canada, left on June 1st, 2020. So I'm new to stand-up and still putting together a set for when this Corona stuff ends. And while I wait, this podcast has helped me a lot. Appreciate all the advice, mate. Well, thank you, Smogley. And as soon as this Corona thing does let loose, I hope you get out there, hit the open mics running. Hopefully you've heard some things on the podcast that has got you thinking. So thanks again for leaving the iTunes review. Thanks for subscribing on iTunes, Stitcher, or Spotify. I'll talk to you next time around with a big-time announcement about something cool that I'll get to do this fall, which involves cameras. All right, take care, stay safe, and stay funny.
Thanks for listening to the School of Laughs podcast. If you'd like to hear more School of Laughs podcasts, you can find them on iTunes and Stitcher.com. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. For information on upcoming live and online classes, visit schooloflaughs.com. Until next time, stay tuned, stay focused, and stay funny.